Janet, do you have any pointers or tips for how somebody should conduct themselves at a networking event? What is a good strategy to use to make connections that are impactful when attending those?
Sure. When I go to a networking event, I never walk into the room by myself. Instead, I go to meet my welcoming committee. And by my welcoming committee, I mean the following. Before I go to the event, I contact the leaders and officers of the organization. I identify them by going to the website of the organization. Who is the president? Who is the vice president? Who is the program chair? Who is the membership chair? These are the movers and shakers of the organization, and they know everyone else who's going to be in the room. And I write a note to them on email, and I can figure out their email, usually from their professional affiliation, or if not, I find them on LinkedIn. And the subject line is, will we meet at the October 10th networking event? Right? And I introduce myself. I say, your name came to my attention as an officer of the Downtown Accountants Association, let's just call it. And I'm looking forward to attending your networking event on October 10th. I'm a public relations professional and I work with accountants. And in fact, my client, ABC Accountant, is a member of the Downtown Accountants Association. I'm looking to join your group and get involved and learn how I can be a member participating in your activities. Now, Moshe, you get this email from Janet at janetlfalk.com. You're the president, you're the membership chair. You who have never met me before, what are you going to do when you get an email from someone who says, I'm interested in attending your networking event and joining your organization?
Sure. Come on over. Let's meet.
Exactly. Exactly. You're going to write back to me and say, Janet, of course I'm going to the networking event because I am the officer of the organization and I'm so excited to meet you. Now, I'm not going to leave that there. I'm going to write back to you and I'm going to say, Moshe, thank you so much for your note. I'm thrilled to know that you will be attending. And by the way, I will be wearing a red jacket so that you will be sure to find me in this crowded room. Now, I always wear identifying distinctive clothing because I don't want to look like everybody else. Now, if I'm a trial attorney, I can't wear a red jacket, but I can wear a red pocket square. Don't wear a red tie. Everyone wears a red tie. Wear a red pocket square so that someone will be able to find you in the crowded room. Now, I go to the event and I show up at the registration desk and I say, I'm here to meet Moshe Rosenblum Amsel. Can you point him out to me? He's expecting to meet me here. And they say, oh, yes, he's the fellow over there with the red pocket square. Moshe, I introduce myself. How are you? I'm Janet Falk. I'm so glad to meet you. Tell me about the organization. Tell me how you got involved. Tell me what your plans are for membership and so on and so forth. And now you are courting me as a member. You want me to join the organization. You're telling me about why you got involved and what your plans are and so on and so forth. It's not about me. It's about you courting me so that I'll become a member of the organization. And after a point in time, we all know networking conversations can go on for a little too long. I'll say, Moshe, I've really enjoyed speaking with you. I'd like to keep in touch with you. If you would like to keep in touch with me, here's my business card and you can sign up for my monthly newsletter. I often share tips and best practices for communications. And by the way, would you introduce me to Pat Schwartz? I'd really like to meet her. She's the president of the organization. And Moshe, what are you going to say? No, I can't introduce you to Pat.
Nope.
Of course you're going to introduce me. You're going to introduce me and I'm going to go over to Pat and I'm going to say, Pat, I'm so glad to meet you. I'm Janet Falk. I'm a public relations professional. I was talking with Moshe. He was telling me about his ideas for programs and I think they're really innovative and exciting and so on. And Pat's going to think that Moshe, he's on the ball. He's bringing in new members. And Moshe, you're going to think that Janet Falk, she just made me look brilliant to Pat, the president of the organization. And then I'm going to take a photo of me and you and Pat. I'm going to post that on LinkedIn after the event. And I'm going to chat with Pat and I'm going to ask her who I should meet at the event. Maybe she can tell me who the vice president is. And she'll introduce me to that person, say, oh, he's over there in the green jacket. Fine, I'll go over and meet that person. And I'm going to say, Tom, Pat told me that I should talk to you. Right? And now I'm working the room. Right? I have identified the leaders of the organization. I have introduced myself to them in advance. I have warmed up the room. They are my welcoming committee, and they are going to help me meet the others on my list so that by the end of the evening, I have met many of the officers of the organization, and they have introduced me to the movers and shakers within the group who I need to meet because they align with my business interests and with my business goals. So that's what you do. You warm up the room in advance by introducing yourself before you walk into the room. And then after, of course, you're going to follow up. Say, Moshe, it was great to meet you, and I'm going to join the organization. Let's have coffee sometime and become better acquainted. You know, I'm a public relations professional. I want to contribute to the newsletter or in any communications activities that you have. So that's what I recommend going into any networking situation, whether you've been there before or you're going there for the first time. You warm up the room so that you don't walk in there by yourself. You meet your welcoming committee and you get them to court you to become a member and have them introduce you to the other members in the room who you would like to meet.
You know, I love the way you went about this. So many people go to networking events and they don't have a plan or a strategy. So each person they want to introduce themselves, it's kind of like this awkward moment where you're going to somebody blind, you don't know them, and you want to just walk up to them and say, "Hey, how are you? I'm so and so." Some people are introverts, some people are shy, and some people are simply just, humans with fears of being rejected and things like that. It makes it very difficult to work a room. Your strategy allows you to get introductions to the people in the room, which really takes away that whole piece of it and can make it for a much more effective networking session. So I really like that strategy.